Morning, happy Friday. I'm answering a question today that I get asked a lot. And it's when somebody's setting up their own recruitment company and they tend to say to me, look, what am I going to need in terms of finances? Because maybe I haven't got a huge budget. Well, the great news is you actually don't need a huge budget to get your own recruitment company set up, especially if you're going to start off, maybe just with yourself and working from home. So you haven't got the outgoings related to sort of rent and all of that, business rates and that sort of thing. So that's the first thing I would say. You need to have your computer and you need a phone, and in terms of tangible objects, those are probably the main things that you need, and I would imagine you've already got those. But there are things that you need to take into consideration, and the answer to this question, actually, I can answer with a story. And when it relates to me when I set up my recruitment company, CRS Professionals, and when I did that, I left the security of a job I'd been in for 10 years and I had 6 months worth of savings. Now, the agreement that I'd made with my husband was that he would carry on working for another 6 months to keep the cash coming in. And then, of course, we'd already got the 6 months worth of savings. Now, what actually happened, contrary to that agreement, was that he handed his notice in a week later and was sat right next to me shortly afterwards, helping to get the business set up. So, because I've done it, I know it can be done with 6 months worth of savings, but I would say that you need to have that as a minimum. And incidentally, the 6 months was due to run out at Christmas time, and we actually took our business from 0 to 6 figures in our first 12 months, which we were incredibly proud of because it was back in 2011. And if you weren't in recruitment then, you may not know. If you were, you will probably remember that it wasn't the best time to be in recruitment. The country was still reeling from the effects of the recession. I think officially we were out, but it certainly didn't really feel like it that much. So, we managed to take it from 0 to 6 figures in that first 12 months, and we did that with a starting pot of 6 months worth of savings. Now, in order to know exactly what you need, there are going to be a couple of things you need to do. The first thing you need to do is a cash flow forecast. So you've got to look at everything you're going to need to get your company set up. So we've talked about your computer and your phone, which you've probably already got, but you're going to need other things, aren't you? So you're going to need insurance, for example. That's a really important thing. You're going to need a website. You're going to need I call it a database, a CRM or an ATS, whatever you call it, a program where you are going to record all of your conversations with your clients, with your candidates, keep all of your data securely held and in line with GDPR regulations, somewhere that you can, send multiple emails from. So a program that you can use to do all of that, and that's going to cost you some money every month. Another thing that you're going to need, of course, are potentially jobs boards if you're going to go down that route, and I'd recommend that you do if you're starting off. So those are just a few off the top of my head. Do a list of everything that you are actually going to need, your essentials. It's easy sometimes to get, I think it's called shiny object syndrome, where you fall into the trap of thinking you really need it, but actually you don't. It would just be quite nice to have. So if you're working off a limited budget to start with, please don't get caught up with shiny object syndrome. If you don't actually need it, don't get it. But do this forecast, write down everything you need, and this should be part of your business plan that you do anyway. So you know exactly what your outgoings are every single month from the business. Next, you need to look at all of your outgoings from home, so your mortgage or your rent, your electricity, your fuel bills, your phone, everything that you have to pay on a month-by-month basis, and get all of that written down as well. And then combine those two figures, your household outgoings and your business outgoings. Once you've got that figure, I would also suggest adding onto that a contingency fund. Now, that contingency fund will cover things, all the stuff we think to ourselves, surely that won't happen. And then, of course, it does. So things like you getting a flat tyre, breaking down on the motorway or on your drive, that still costs. Your roof starting to leak, whatever it is. build a contingency amount into each monthly figure. Okay, whatever it is, it could be £100, you decide what that amount is. And finally, on top of that, I would add some money to just enjoy yourself, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This first 6 months is going to be hard work. There's no two ways about it. Your first 12 months are going to be hard work. And you're going to be putting in a lot of time to get your business set up and established. So it is essential, just for your sanity, to be able to just kick back and enjoy yourselves a little bit as well. You know, live your life. That's what we're doing this for. So make sure you've got some money in your monthly pot to do something that you enjoy, something that you love, something that will help you to relax and switch off and kick back a little bit, because you're going to need to do that. And it's for the good of the business, ultimately. If you're performing at your peak and you're well rested and you've still got your motivation and energy, then that will only benefit your business. So then you've got those 3 figures. You've got your combined household and business outgoings, your contingency, and a little bit for enjoying your life as well. And that will give you what you need on a month by month basis. Times it by 6, there's your 6 months worth of savings that you need as a minimum. If you are able to get a little bit more, brilliant. Of course, the more you have up front, the better. But you can absolutely get your business set up, and set up well, with 6 months worth of savings. Now, in my opinion, because I've done it. Now, something else that I would add is that there are actually some brilliant ways, if you are working to a budget, that you can save some cash along the way and not have to outlay an enormous amount of money. So a really good example that I will give you is your contracts or your legal documents, which again, you've got to have in place, you've got to have those up front. So instead of going to a solicitor to get your contracts drafted, which can be fairly hefty, especially because you need several, I would suggest joining an industry organisation. So 2 off the top of my head that I would think of would be in the UK, this is the British Institute of Recruiters and the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. Now, the benefit of joining those organisations is not only the support you get and the guidance and loads of other benefits. I don't work with them, so you'll have to have a look at it on the internet. But one of the benefits of becoming a member is you get access to all their legal templates. Now, they have everything that you need, generally speaking, in terms of contracts for your clients, contracts with your candidates, everything that, as I say, that you might need in terms of legal documents, and you have access to all of that. They're all editable. You go in, you can change the details to suit your business, whether it's the terms, the name, the address, whatever it is, and there's lots of instructions on the parts that you will need to go in and change. So that's a really, really useful tool to have. You pay monthly or annually. You'll have to again check individually with those companies or those organisations, but whatever the annual fee is, or the monthly fee, it is much less than if you go to a solicitor and you ask them to draft your contracts from scratch. So I'd really look at doing that. That will save you some cash. You will have to include it on your monthly outgoings though. Another thing you can do, if you've got the budget to get a website designer to do your website for you, brilliant, do it, delegate that responsibility. If you haven't, then there are some really good companies out there where you can get the templates that you need to set your own website up. You don't need to be particularly technically minded. You can just go into the program, you drag and drop the widgets, I think they're called, that you need, and you can have everything on there that you need. So you can have images, photos, links, text. You can have a page where you create your jobs, so you can upload your jobs on there. You can link it to a jobs boards aggregator. You can have the facility for candidates to apply for those jobs, which is fairly critical if you're running a recruitment business. So as I say, there are companies out there that you can use that you can do all of that with, that have wonderful, customer support services as well. So if you get stuck, you can call someone who really knows what they're doing. But that will save you probably a couple of grand as well up front if you can do that. The only downside to that is the time it takes to do it. Now, you're at a particularly fortunate time of the year if you're thinking of getting your company set up for 2020 and you're going to go through that particular process of setting the website up yourself, because, of course, you've got Christmas holidays coming up. So, of course, enjoy yourself over Christmas, but use your downtime wisely. And if you've got some spare moments, that's certainly something you could be getting on with so that your website is ready to go for 2020. And the other thing I would suggest is, well, actually, I wouldn't suggest this. This is something that I'm going to let you know, because if you don't already know this, this could be like a revelation. I've had people say to me before, Zara, my background is contract recruitment, freelance recruitment. That's what I want to do. Have I just got to have hundreds of thousands of pounds in the bank, though, to be able to payroll my workers? Well, no, of course you don't. But to be fair, that's exactly what I thought. And then I saw people that I knew setting up recruitment companies, and I was fairly sure that they didn't have millions of pounds in the bank. So it was just stubbornness, really, that I mooched around and managed to find out how they were doing it. I will give this to you, so that will save you the whole, laborious amount of time of trying to work out how they do it. So this is what you do. If you want to supply contract staff to your clients, you can use a factoring company. So factoring company or invoice financing company, they're referred to as well. And essentially your temp sends in their timesheet each week. It goes automatically through to the line manager. It's all done online. The line manager authorises it. That goes straight through then to the factoring company. They pay your temp, they invoice your client, and they send you the margin that's left for you. They deduct their charges from your margin. You'll need to investigate yourselves and look at various invoice financing companies. But there are ones out there as well that are specifically focused on the recruitment industry, which is particularly good because they understand the idiosyncrasies of recruitment as an industry. So have a look out for those. But no, you don't need to save hundreds of thousands in the bank to be able to do contract work. So if that's holding you back at the moment, boom, gone, no excuses. So that would be my answer to how much money do you need. 6 months worth of savings. Make sure you do your business plan properly. Make sure you forecast what you're going to need on a month by month basis properly. Include some money for living, include some money for contingency, and use those tips that I've just given you in terms of saving money up front as well. It really helps when you're setting out with a smaller budget, but you can absolutely do it with a small budget and still get to your goal, still reach your ambition of owning your own recruitment company. Good luck. I hope that's helped. I hope that's knocked down some barriers for you and you can just press on now and go and make your goal a reality. See you soon. Bye.